Today we have a very interesting video. So basically it's New Year's Eve actually. It's 9:25 p.m. so a couple more hours and then it's 2021. Sorry, it's winter. So I was watching Victor Frankenstein. I think it was a 2015 movie with Daniel Radcliffe and the dude who plays Professor X. I don't know, the dude from X-Men. And I got to the part where they actually create the man or the monster, the final product, basically. And it was interesting to see their representation of it because, and even Victor Frankenstein in the movie realizes this and sees it, that he didn't recreate life. He recreated the physical properties of life, the physical capabilities, the hands, the muscles, but he didn't take into account the soul. You can't just bring a soul back from the dead. That's not how things work, or at least realistically, right? And so I found this very interesting because I've watched quite a few things where there's always, of course, bringing back from the dead, like even in Once Upon a Time, Hook, Rumple, all brought back from the dead. Oh, supernatural, of course. I annoyed a cosmic being into bringing me back. Sorry, I was thinking of Castiel. So, and I was thinking of all of this, and I just think it's very interesting that they really show that he didn't create a soul. Which, and if you watch the creature in the movie, you can see that his instincts are more, or his ability is more animal. So, like, when Moriarty, I'm calling him that because that's all, I don't know the actor's name or the characters, honestly, but when Moriarty is shooting at the monster, that's when the monster starts to attack, because it's an instinct. It's like an animal. Like, you attack a cat, it's going to scratch you, okay? That's how things work. You attack my dog, or me, he's going to attack you. He's going to bite you. So it shows that he created more physical capabilities without taking into account the soul and the actual, like, person. And I think this is something that people have always thought that kind of sets humans apart from animals and other creatures, is we have a soul. We're more aware. We can also be quite dumb, but we're more aware in that sense, and we're more emotional, and instead of just, like, animals are they do the life cycle. They're not really into recreational, they don't build buildings. They're like, I have a hole in the ground, that's good enough. Whereas with humans, we need more, bigger, better. We need to constantly be creating, making something new, making something better. So it's interesting to see that they kind of show that Frankenstein misses that part of the being. That all he's creating is physical. It's not mental. So while the being has a brain, oh sorry, my Fitbit causes a bad reaction on my skin. So while of course the thing has a brain, right? It doesn't have a soul. But this made me think of other shows that I watch, and one in particular that I think truly takes a different stance on this, in that it's not physical for them. So I enjoy the show Altered Carbon, which unfortunately will not have another season. But in Altered Carbon, the soul is what's important. So for them, it's the opposite. Your physical appearance, your physical body is completely, like, it doesn't matter, because they can give you another one. So for them, in that show, it's basically like a soul can be downloaded onto this little chip that they plant in your neck. And in my opinion, they're basically giving you a new physical appearance, a new physical status, and it's this chip. And if you put the chip in a different body, voila, you have a completely different physical appearance. Also, how the frick does that work genetically? I don't know. But it's interesting to see the different stances that you can take with things like that. Sorry, I feel like for some reason I'm freezing all of a sudden. So I found this thought process so interesting that I just had to make a video about it. But I just think it's very interesting to see the two different representations. Because altered carbon, like I keep saying, it's completely about the soul. The soul is downloaded, and then your bodies are replaceable. Your body doesn't matter. If you're rich enough, you can get your body looking like brand new, looking exactly how it was when you died. Well, when you died. See, and in Frankenstein, and in Victor Frankenstein, the movie I was talking about, he says death is temporary. Well, in Altered Carbon, I feel like they succeed in that, but they do it in a different way. As in, they don't need to save your body if they can give you a new one. So it's interesting because it basically shows that in like Altered Carbon, they give you a smaller physical appearance and kind of like put it in a bigger physical appearance so that you appear as a human, you can move, you can walk, you can talk. But then like you're shot in the head, bam, boom, you're dead. But you're not really dead because your soul is in an even tinier physical appearance, and you basically have to hit that. You hit that chip, it's called RD, real death. So the reason I find this interesting is because it's two different takes on like how to be immortal, I guess. Because Victor takes the physical stance, the science stance, both are kind of science. I think both are technically scientific, but he gets more into physical as in like muscles and hands. Whereas in Altered Carbon, lots of it is also mixed with modern technology, or their modern technology in that show, of course. Sorry, all of a sudden I am freezing cold. And the other thing that while this thought process was continuing, it made me think of, and this is going to sound ridiculous, but it made me think of Monster High, where Freaky something. I don't remember the name of that movie, but basically, and they touch on Victor Frankenstein as well, they show the same exact thing. Victor succeeds, he creates his monster, but there's no soul. It has no emotions. So, the Victor Frankenstein live action movie, obviously, I think takes a little more realistic stance on it, as in the creature is more like an animal. Like, if you attacked my dog Kanan, he will attack you. So the monster is more like that. And it kind of is in both representations of Victor Frankenstein's monster. So I just find it interesting, the different representations that you can take on how to be immortal. Because I feel like oftentimes, I don't know if it's just movies or if people really look for this in life. I never personally have. But they like constantly look for ways to stop death, if you will. To make it like it won't happen. So it's interesting to see. And of course, Victor Frankenstein, obviously, the movie, it's taking from, the classic story, right? So, like, but it's still interesting to see the different takes on it. So, because in Victor Frankenstein, like I keep saying, it's completely physical. So, while they're making the physical capabilities continued. Sorry, the words are like escaping my brain. Like I don't know the words to explain what I'm trying to explain, and it's annoying. But it's all physical. There's no mental or like soul. So it's just, I find it very interesting because in Altered Carbon, while it's still physical, as in the chip is your new physical appearance, if you will, or your physical hold. They deal more with the soul, as in saying your soul is basically downloaded onto a chip. So it's interesting to see two different takes, because I feel like in Altered Carbon, they completely strip away your physical being, as in like blood and tissue, and you're encapsulated in metal, right? So it's interesting. And take a shot every time I say interesting, right? It's interesting to compare the two different representations of life and death, and how to make people more immortal, right? How to continue your life, here in the universe rather than in death. So, sorry, I just found this very interesting. And of course, there's other representations, but these two are the most interesting, I think, and the most different. Because, like, think about shows like Supernatural. They don't talk about furthering your physical body. They just say, Castiel brought Dean back. Voila, he's here. Right? So, it's less scientific and actually more religious, honestly. Whereas, like, in Victor Frankenstein, religion is kind of portrayed as the enemy. As in, like, religious and morals are standing in the way of Victor Frankenstein's scientific capabilities, if you will. So, and I am religious myself. I do believe in God, and I have my own personal beliefs and, things on that subject, which I'm not going to mention in this video, or in any video. So it's just interesting to see the different things, because, like, most shows kind of brush over bringing a character back to life, because they take a more magical stance, whereas these two examples are Altered Carbon and Victor Frankenstein, the 2015 movie, take a scientific approach to escaping death, which I find much more interesting than magical approaches like Once Upon a Time. Although I do love Once Upon a Time, and they do actually mention that in the show. They're like, Hook can't come back to life. His body is up there rotting. So unless you want your boyfriend to be a rotting corpse walking around, yeah, he can't leave. Hell, okay, I'm sorry. Not how it works. So, other than that, it's quite the magical representation of it. And I haven't seen every single episode of Supernatural. I don't know every single way Dean Winchester has come back to life, unfortunately. But I know that it's not as scientific. And, what's the other one? All those CW, superhero, DC shows, I feel like take a similar stance, because I know someone's gone to purgatory in there. Was it Robin Hood? Sorry, I know he's not Robin Hood. Is he Green Arrow? Oh, I can't remember. He's not Green Lantern. I know that. He's Green Arrow, isn't he? Yeah. Arrow, Lantern. Sorry, I was thinking of Big Bang Theory. But, so what I was basically saying is that I feel like most shows take kind of a magical stance. Vampire Diaries, Once Upon a Time, DC. And then you have these two, like Altered Carbon and Victor Frankenstein, that take a very scientific approach. And although I am quite a religious person, I believe in the Lord, I find science very interesting. And so that's why, for me, the scientific explanation for bringing people back from the dead is just much more interesting and much more technical, and they don't explain it away, because lots of it, that is one of the main points, right? So it's just much more interesting. Sorry, this is kind of a rant. If this is a rant, comment you're ranting. But, I just burped. Sorry, I had pizza. But anyway, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you would like me to do more videos this style, then comment below. Have a good day or night, and New Year.